What's a moment that forced you to fight fire with fire? I thought landing my dream job at Meridian Tech was the beginning of everything I'd worked for. Fresh out of college, decent salary, great benefits, and a chance to work with cutting-edge software development. My manager Corbin seemed genuinely excited to have me on the team. "You're going to love it here," he said during my first week. "We're like family." That should have been my first red flag. Everything was perfect for exactly 3 weeks. Then Damien transferred to our department. Damien was one of those guys who commanded attention the moment he walked into a room. Tall, confident, with the kind of smile that made you trust him instantly. He had 5 years of experience and a reputation for delivering results. Within days, he was Corbin's golden boy. The sabotage started small. My code would mysteriously develop bugs overnight. Files I'd been working on would disappear from the shared drive. During team meetings, Damien would interrupt me mid-sentence with a concerned look. "I think what he's trying to say is," he'd begin, then explain my own idea better than I had. Corbin would nod approvingly. "Great insight, Damien." I tried brushing it off. New guy paranoia, I told myself. But then my project presentation started glitching. The slides I'd tested the night before would suddenly have formatting errors or missing images. I'd stand there, embarrassed, while Damien helpfully offered to take over. "Technical difficulties happen," he'd say with that perfect smile. "Let me help you out." The worst part? He'd fix everything seamlessly, making me look incompetent while he appeared like a hero. One morning, I arrived to find my computer had been remotely accessed at 3 a.m. All my current project files were corrupted. When I mentioned it to Corbin, he suggested I should back up my work more carefully. "Damien never has these issues," he said, glancing at his golden boy. That's when I realized this wasn't random. Damien was systematically destroying my reputation. I started staying late, installing monitoring software on my computer, documenting every suspicious incident. I found keystroke logs, evidence of remote access, deleted emails that would have exposed his interference. The pattern was undeniable. I took everything to HR. Victoria, the HR director, listened patiently as I laid out months of evidence. "This is serious," she said, reviewing my documentation. "We'll investigate immediately." 2 days later, Damien cornered me in the break room. "Heard you've been spreading some interesting stories about me," he said, his voice calm but his eyes cold. "That's not very team player behavior." The next week, I was written up for missing deadlines I'd never been given. Victoria called me into her office with a formal warning about my disruptive workplace behavior and making unfounded accusations against colleagues. "Sometimes new employees struggle with the transition," she said. "Perhaps you'd benefit from our employee assistance program." I stared at her in disbelief. Damien had gotten to her too. That evening, my desk neighbor Tessa pulled me aside. "Be careful," she whispered. "Damien's done this before." The last guy who tried to report him ended up fired for cause. No severance, no unemployment, nothing. My blood ran cold. How many people has he done this to? 3 that I know of. He targets people who might threaten his position, makes them look incompetent, then swoops in to save the day. I went home that night and did something I'd never done before. I Googled Damien's employment history. 3 previous companies in 5 years. Each time he'd left right after someone else was terminated. The breaking point came during our quarterly review presentation. I'd spent weeks preparing, triple-checking everything, even recording myself practicing. This was my chance to prove my worth. The presentation started perfectly. My slides were flawless, my delivery confident. Halfway through, the screen went black. "Technical difficulties," Damien announced, standing up with a concerned expression. "Don't worry, I have a backup presentation ready." He pulled up an exact replica of my presentation, except with his name on it. I couldn't fit what happens next in this short video. Watch the rest down below.